All right. First ever prediction tier list. Now, you're wondering why it's called a prediction tier list. It is because there's a patch coming out for Rivals tomorrow, the 19th. And I'm actually not going to be here because I leave for vacation. So, that said, I'm going to do my best to, one, talk about what I've already analyzed for the current one, and also take a guess at what the future one's going to be. So it's going to be a bit of a combo, but I'm going to be doing my best to guess what it's going to end up looking like next week while I'm not here. So first up, Angela. Angela is, I would say, probably the best dive tank at the moment, or second best dive tank at the moment. Almost always a good pick. However, when you do pick Angela, you do need some other frontline tank with you to really hold as a team, and a lot of people don't do that. They play like Thor, they play like Hulk, they play like Penny, Thing, and so it's actually a lot harder to win with those types of comps. However, though, she's a solid pick almost every single time. You almost can't go wrong picking Angela, except if your other tank decides they're not going to do anything, or they're going to pick something stupid. Then you might be in some trouble. But she actually does pretty good value right now. Yo, next up is Hulk. Hulk's a weird one. Because I think he's both simultaneously good and awful. Where he's good, if they don't have counters for you, like your Bucky, your Invis, your well, I don't even know if you would consider them counters, but just hard to kill supports like the Rocket and Jeff backline type of thing. But like if you just work as a Wolverine deployment system, it's pretty gas. But outside of that, it's really not that scary. And your ult is very scary. But like Poke has been so hard meta recently that he's been kind of awful. However, with the upcoming patch, Poke's getting pretty hard nerfed. Hela's getting a little bit of a nerf, which I don't think is going to do much. Hawkeye got a big nerf. Gambit's getting a small nerf, so we might see Gambit getting played more. And who was the last one that got a nerf? I'm trying to remember. Wasn't Phoenix, even though it should have been Phoenix. It was... Chat, help me out here. What was the last one? There's 3. It's Hela, Hawkeye, what? Elsa. Oh yeah, Elsa gets a nerf. Those all being nerfed might make Thing better. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of a little high on him. I think he could be better in this next patch. So I'm going to put him up 1. Although right now, I think he's about here. But I'm going kind of high on Hulk for the upcoming patch tomorrow. Because my theory is that with Poke not being as prevalent or strong, Dive should be a little bit better. With Dive being a little bit better, he'd probably be better. Boger said Penny over Hulk. Question, was Boger making a current tier list or a prediction tier list? Because I'm predicting what's going to change after tomorrow, because I'm not going to be here after tomorrow. So mine is going to look probably very different than everyone's current one, because there's going to be changes. Something that probably doesn't change, though, from other people's guesses is Groot, who is by far the best take in the game. And it's not close. Anyone who thinks Groot is not the best tank in the game, you are genuinely a crazy person. And I commend your commitment to being insane. Because, well, when it comes to frontline tanks, there is not a single person who holds a candle to the tree. Outside of Dive, of course, he does struggle. Or, sorry, outside of front to back brawl comps, he struggles a little bit, like against Dive. But you don't really have to worry about that at the moment because Poke is so strong. Granted, Poke gets nerfed this week. I don't think that actually changes anything for Groot. I think Groot is probably still going to be top 2 tanks. I think the only one that could potentially overtake him with Dive being prevalent is my hot take, which I haven't got there, but I will tell you in a second. Venom. I think Dive makes a return with this patch. I think there's a good chance Dive makes a return with this patch. Looking at characters that are pretty strong and ready to go, Daredevil's still sitting in the wings. Obviously, almost always a good pick. Magic, I think, is sitting in the wings. Almost always a decent pick as long as you know how to play her. Phoenix is the only thing that's going to keep this whole thing propped up. Phoenix is still insane. They didn't get touched, so there's a possibility Dive is not strong after this patch. But if it is, Phoenix is still going to be good, but you might see more Spidey. You might see more Magic. You might see more Daredevil. You might see more Star-Lord. You might see... What else? I don't think you'll see BP. You might see Iron... Nah, I don't know if you'll see Iron Fist. I don't know if you'll see Iron Fist. TBH. But I think there's a good possibility. Actually, you know what? Hang on, I need to knock him down one, because I just realized I'm going to do something else. I think he is going to be better than Hulk, though. But I think there's a good chance he's decent. I think there's a good chance. My hot take one is I think with the patch tomorrow, Gambit gets nerfed. There's a chance people try to play the game with Gambit not banned, which means you get the Rogue Gambit team up. Rogue Gambit, I think, is insanely powerful. Insanely good. My prediction is if Gambit is allowed to play the video game, Rogue might be top 2, top 3. Rogue might be top 2 or top 3 if she's allowed to get the Gambit team up. We'll see, though. We'll see if she's allowed to get the Gambit team up. But I'm actually predicting top 2, top 3, one of the best tanks in the game if the Gambit team up is there. Her sustain is crazy when it's up. It's actually disgusting. Cap. I think Cap's going to be right here with the rest of the dive tanks that are strong, but like I'm not 100% sold just yet. I think Dive's going to be strong, and if it Dive is played, you can see more Cap, you can see more Hulk, you can see more Venom. But I just think Rogue's going to be so much better, and I think Angela's just so much better right now that you got to put him a step below, because like Rogue, I think, will be better than Angela after the patch if Gambit's played. If Gambit's not allowed to be played, they're probably very similar, actually. Like this is if Gambit's not allowed to play the video game. If Gambit's allowed to play the video game, it'll be more like this. That said, though, that still remains to be seen. Cap, though, I think if they play Dive, we'll make a return, but again, remains to be seen. Thor. Do I do it? Like, I think Thor is like, right, you know what? I think, dude, Thor is like right here. Like, he's right here on the edge. Like, he's so close to the S. I'm thinking about it. The only thing that makes me think that maybe he won't... Well, actually, hang on. Who's getting nerfed? Hela, Hawkeye. Honestly, Hela, Hawkeye do a lot to him. Phoenix, actually. Dude, I kind of want to do it. I kind of want to throw him up a tier, but I'm not done yet. No, the thing is that makes me not think he's going to be, like, as high is... Like, I don't see him being any better than he is now. But he's already insane. Like, he's just a ranked demon. But the funny thing is everybody says he's D tier because they're, like, pushing the propaganda. It's very funny. I'm thinking about throwing him in the S just to people. Should I do it? I kind of want to throw him in S tier just to with the people that are saying D tier. I kind of want to do it. I'll hold it for now. Penny. I think Penny's still kind of butt cheeks. Ever since they removed her team up, she's not that scary. You do come up into a good Penny every once in a while, but it isn't like the unkillable demon lord that she was like last season. Like, she just, like, you're bumping into just a solid Penny player, and like they have little tricks in their bag that they're really good at, like putting webs behind a corner, or they're putting the nets behind like a wall, like a third, like not just like an L corner, but like a third corner. So it's like, instead of like this, right? It's like it's over here. So you have to like turn the corner and then turn the other corner, and then they connect it with webs and then pop their ult, you know? They have like little tricks like that in their bag, but I wouldn't say Penny's that scary. I'm not that afraid of Penny. Ding! Ding is pretty solid. Very solid tank. I think if Dive is more prevalent next season, he could be easily an A tier tank. Easily A tier tank. But the problem is Groot. With Groot always being like, with Groot being the best tank in the game, like, you can't really play Thing. But if Groot gets banned, Thing is very viable. So I'm riding a little high on the Thing, but he's like low A as opposed to like Thor, who's like high A. Does that make sense? Again, all of this is a prediction for next season. Or sorry, prediction for tomorrow with the patch. All prediction. Magneto. Guys, it's time to start making some people angry. I think Magneto is overhyped currently. I think Magneto is overhyped. I think he has potential, and I think if Gambit's allowed to play the game, he would actually be much better. Hell, with the Gambit team up, he's probably about here, actually. But I am so sick of whenever there's a game not going well, or people are like saying, like, oh, we need a mag here. No, we need a mag here. Mag is not going to solve all your problems. It really isn't. Like, yes, he has a lot of tools. Yes, he can do a lot of good things. He is not your Lord and Savior. You have to do so many things on Mag perfectly to have that maximum value. And I promise you, 99.9% of players cannot do it. You are not mechanically skilled enough. You are not good enough with your cooldowns to actually do everything you need to do to make him the best tank in the game consistently. In a game-to-game basis, you're hitting right clicks, you're hitting left clicks, you're bubbling yourself kind of often, and you're bubbling a teammate every once in a while when they're doing things like they're cloak ulting or save somebody from something, or if they take a lot of damage. And then you're ulting either to kill their support ult, or you're ulting at best a counter defensive ult. But you know what though? In the neutral, you're useless. You are not killing anyone. You are not left click, right click, left clicking anybody. You are not doing it. I promise you. It is rare for most players to do that unless they actually main mag and they're actually doing it consistently playing it. You can't just pick him up and run people down. You could pick up Thor and run people down. You could pick up Thing and run people down. Mag is a lot harder. Not saying he's easy, but it's a lot harder to be at the perfect level. And I don't think people can. Strange next season or after this patch, I think is also insanely good. Actually, I'm gonna say, you know what? Actually, sorry. With Gambit in play, Mag might be better than Strange if you get to use your sword. But if Gambit's not allowed, it is like Mag's like way over here. Way over here. If Gambit's not allowed, he's over here. If Gambit is allowed, it's more like this. Though it all depends, these two and Gambit all depend on will he be allowed to play the game post bans. Will he be allowed to play the game post bans? We will see. Emma. I'm going to start the agenda. Emma's fallen off a cliff. I think people who play Emma or are forced to play Emma right now are just riding the season 4 high and think she's still insanely good. She's really not. I think she's like a waste of a team slot at the moment. I would take a Thor. I would take a Mag. I would take a Thing. I would take a Strange. I would take a Rogue. I would take a Groot. I'd take an Angela any day of the week. And the only reason I put Emma lower than these three right now is because I just think after the patch, Dive might be better. But damn, Emma I think fell off a cliff. I think she fell off a cliff. I think that her diamond form usage is really good for like tournament play. Like if you're like organized pro play, she's gonna be insane. But like for the average ranked player, you ain't doing shit. You ain't doing shit with that. You're really not. But yeah, I think Emma's fallen off a cliff. Tank pool. I think tank pool in ranked is a demon. I think tank pool in ranked is actually a demon. Really good pick. But you gotta have like a good tank pool that understands you're basically playing him either like a flanker, like Psylocke, or you're running people down. The thing is though, next patch, if Gambit is allowed to play the video game, I think that Groot will just still be better. I think Rogue is going to be insane. I think Thor is just much better than Deadpool. Thor is just Thor is just a better Deadpool. But very viable pick. Very viable pick to say the least. I don't think I see that good of Deadpool tank pools that often though. TBH. So is what it is. All right, on to DPS. Again, this is all prediction for next patch, aka tomorrow, because I won't be here for a week, so you getting my prediction list instead of the current one, because I didn't make one for the current one, but it's going to change tomorrow anyways. So reminder. Next up, yeah, is there anything to even talk about here? Anything to even talk about? Moving on. Blade. I'm sorry, I've given Blade every ounce of grace, trying to think that like Blade's gonna be good. Like they've buffed him so many times, and like there just needs to be one Blade player to show everyone else how to play Blade. Just never happens. Just never happens. Just never see him. You never see a scary Blade. You see like one decent Blade player like every once in a while. And if you just played something else, they probably would be better. They would be better. Honestly, he honestly is getting close to F tier, but Widow's just a different category. I think Widow's a different category, but he's just awful. DD. It's a hard one. With Gambit in play potentially, means that you're banning Loki a lot, which means that Daredevil would be better. If Gambit's no longer worth the ban, then you would ban Loki, which opens up dive a lot more, especially against Daredevil. I think if players are not stupid and they don't just turn their brain off and ban Gambit every game like they previously had been, and they think a little more about like what the bans are, and they're like, huh, Gambit's not really worth the ban anymore, and they don't ban him, then they're probably worried about the double Gambit ult, which then means you have to ban Loki. And with Loki gone, Daredevil eats. But again, though, players could just say Gambit's still worth permabanning. So if Gambit's still worth permabanning, he's A. If Loki's getting banned, he could be an S tier pick. But even without that, he's at least an A tier pick. So I'm okay with that. I think that's a decent one. DPS pool. You know what? I don't even care. DPS pool sucks balls. These guys ass. There's zero reason to ever pick DPS pool. He's just like kind of butt cheeks. There's not a reason. Awful. Mid at best. Next up to Elsa. So Elsa Bloodstone's getting nerfed pretty heavily. Her ult's getting nerfed pretty heavily. Is that enough to kill the character? Low key, I think the scariest thing has been the ult. It's playing against her. I think without her terrifying ult, she might not be as much of a demon as she was. I actually don't think she's gonna get nearly as much play if the ult is that bad, which on paper it looks pretty bad in comparison. 3.5 seconds though is still a good amount of time, right? It's a good amount of time still. So it might be, the ult nerf might not mean anything. The hitbox change is very small. The hitbox change is very small. So the other thing though is when she is nerfed and dive is a little better, potentially. When she's nerfed and dive is better, potentially, they could run her down easier. You can run her down easier, potentially. We will see. We will see. Her neutral's still insane. I didn't think her neutral was that scary. I think there's a reason why you ban Phoenix every game. Like if her neutral was that good, she would be banned every game. But it's not. Like there's a reason why you load into games and she's free, because you've banned Phoenix, because Phoenix's neutral is that good, and her ult is that good. So I completely disagree. Like I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like to say it's one of the best is insane. Hawkeye, I think they might have shot him in the head. He might be dead. Like he might actually genuinely be dead. Like they really took him out back and shot him 16 times in the back of the head. But I'm also scared that the good Hawkeyes might still just make it work. But I'm also I do think that on paper it's bad. They really did take him out back and shoot him 16 times. So like he might be dead. I'm thinking he might be dead. We'll see. Watch that be wrong. Actually, that'd be like the one thing that's wrong. Hela. I'm gonna be honest with you, chat. I don't think the Hela nerfs are that much. I don't think the Hela nerfs are that much. I think she's still gonna be decent. I think Hela nerfs are a slap on the wrist at best. It just makes it so you can't 2-tap backline as easily. Oh, sorry, you can't 2-tap backline 250 HP. But I think most people were 3-tapping anyways. So I think she's still gonna be strong. BP? Yeah, that guy's butt cheeks, huh? That guy might be an F tier. I don't see any BPs anywhere. Where do you see a BP? Where the f do you see a BP these days? His ass butt. He butt cheeks. Quick play, bronze, exactly. Quick play and bronze, exactly. That's the answer. Quick play and bronze. There's a reason for that. Torch, you know, I was kind of high on Torch. I thought Torch was much better after they buffed him, and man, I think that maybe it's partly Poke keeping him in check, because Poke's been really strong, but because I haven't seen Torch anywhere, even with Poke being strong, like they used to be really strong. Like Poke was strong when Torch was good, but he was still playable. Like he was still really good. I haven't really seen him that much, and even with Poke getting nerfed, I'm a little skeptical. So I think I'm gonna put him somewhere in the middle of the road around C. He's definitely on the lower end at the moment, though. Iron Fist, like I said, dive is probably going to be better with the poke nerfs, you would think, on paper. So I would assume you see Iron Fist holding strong like he's been as a okay, decent middle of the road pick if you're good at the character. Maybe we see more of dive like Venom, Cap, Iron Fists, Magic, Star-Lord, things like of that nature. Daredevil running in more, especially in the lower ranks. But I think at the higher ranks, it would be much more like Star-Lord, Daredevil, fucking maybe even I don't know. I've seen a weird amount of Spideys this week. It's been kind of strange, but yeah, my early gut feeling is if dive is stronger, then you will see those characters a little bit more. Iron Man, this guy's still butt cheeks. There's like no reason to pick this guy other than his ult. I'm gonna just do it. There isn't really a reason. He's just an ult charge battery. Like, there just isn't a reason to pick this guy. He's fodder he's fodder. I remember a couple seasons ago, I tried to tell you guys that I thought he was absolute ass, and you guys got up my ass at the time. Like, no, he's still good. He's really good. Like, dude, even he's not even an ult bot. His ult is the only thing that he can do, and even the ult just gets returned to sender like 95% of the time. You know, it gets returned to sender 95% of the time, and he just dies. Like, I died to an Iron Man ult today by accident. That was probably the biggest Iron Man ult the server's seen in 3 days. Because one of my teammates jumped into it to eat it, and I was behind him in the air, and it happened to catch me. You know? Like, behind the Iron Man, just because of how big the hitbox is. Like, ridiculous. But regardless, though, he's just kind of butt. Magic. So Magic, for those who don't know, has been basically the highest win rate character in the game for a long time. I don't see good Magic players that often. But with the return to dive, potentially with this patch, I would assume Magic gets more play. And maybe we start to see some of those Magic players that were already dominating around more. And maybe the ones that have been a little more afraid to play the character are willing to pull her out a little bit more. I think she's already pretty decently strong. Nerfing a lot of the hit scans should make her even better. Mr. F. Mr. F theoretically should be better. However, I'm not convinced. I think on console, he's a demon. I think in the metal ranks, he's a demon. In my games, I just don't see him. He doesn't really do a whole lot. However, though, if dive is stronger, there is actually a good chance he ends up somewhere around here. But I'm still not totally confident in that. He just hasn't really been showing up. Team Up being gone really screwed him over. Yeah, I don't think the new Rocket Team Up was enough to really make him that much better than the old Invis Team Up. Like, I think the Invis Team Up did him more good than the new Rocket one. Like, the new Rocket one did him, even though it's a nice change, it's a nice team up, the Invis one was just better. So, might be a poor one out for that guy. Moon Knight, Damoon. So there's a possibility dive doesn't come back. There's a possibility dive doesn't come back. If dive doesn't come back, I could see Moon Knight getting played a lot more. Even so, that's a hard one. That's actually a really hard one, because I could actually easily put him like here, but I think this is more fair. But I think if dive is back, he gets eaten up. You know? I think he gets eaten up by the dive. So, but right now he feels pretty good. You know? Right now he feels like, if I was right now, I'd say here. But with dive potentially being back next season, I think here. I think this is the play. That's my guess. Namor. So Namor again is a very interesting one, because I think he's actually pretty good. But this all hinges if dive comes back. If dive comes back, Namor will be one of your key picks versus dive. He also still combos with Groot extremely well. So if you have teams comps that are built around anti-dive, this would actually be more of your combo than Moon Knight combos. Also, obviously, like, he's better versus the dive as well. But also, he's still pretty decent, like, poking, you know? So, my gut says this. This is what my gut's telling me at the moment. All right, easily S tier. There's no denying. She didn't get changed at all. Phoenix easily S tier. She doesn't get touched at all. It is what it is. She doesn't get touched at all, so I don't think she's gonna change in the upcoming patch at all. So it is what it is. Probably permaban, likely still. Psylocke. I don't know. They made changes to Psylocke at the start of the season. Even though I'm predicting I think Dive will be better after the patch. That's my guess. I don't think Psylocke's that much better. Like, they just removed some power from her ult, and like they didn't really give that much back. Magic is not better than Elsa. First off, why are you typing me in all caps, brother? Second off, this is a prediction about tomorrow, because I'm not here. I'm leaving tomorrow. Hey, come on, dude. It's a prediction about tomorrow with the bunch of nerfs and changes. Obviously, Elsa's not right now, but you missed the part where we're talking about, yeah, the Friday. Well, oh, Friday. It is Friday. Wait, is it not tomorrow? It says the 19th. Yeah, I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, so, and I won't be here. So, yeah, 19th for Thursday for the US. Yeah. Okay, anyways. Sorry, on Psylocke again. Yeah, I even though Dive is, I think Dive will be better with the changes, because like Poke's getting pretty hard nerfed. I don't know. I'm just not sold on Psylocke. I just don't think Psylocke's going to be that much better. Like even with the changes, it just made her ult worse, and her neutral still kind of sucks. So it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, no changes. There's not really much to say here, which just still kind of blows. There's not much to really do there. All right, this is a really interesting one. Really interesting. I've been seeing so many weird Spideys, and like they've actually been doing a lot. If Dive is better after all the poke nerfs, I have this weird sneaking suspicion he's gonna be decently good. I have this sneaking suspicion. So here's the idea. Again, it depends on Gambit being allowed to play the video game. If people decide Gambit's no longer worth permabanning, that means you probably ban Loki. If you're banning Loki a lot of times, then your backline is a little more susceptible. You're probably gonna run Invis Gambit at that point, right? Try to keep from the double Gambit ults. Dive ends up way better at that point. Will that happen though? I don't know. But I've been seeing a unusual amount of Spider-Mans actually playing the video game and actually doing well. You could say a abnormal amount, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. Squirrel, I think Squirrel's kind of butt still, obviously. Like, there's not much to really say there. She's just kind of like a metal rank pub stomper. Once you get anything above, like, Diamond, it's just not really that useful. Like, the most useful thing is what? Shooting down Groot walls, I guess. I know they buffed her nut. Like, it throws it faster. But it's really not good. It's really not good. Wanda is not F. You are sleeping on her. There's always one, at least. There's always one. Star-Lord. I think this guy could be crazy. He's already pretty decent. He's already pretty strong. Sorry, let me put some respect on his name. He's already really strong. I think if Dive is even stronger, and people are playing all-in comps, and again, this depends on if Gambit is going to be permaban still. We will see if he's constantly permaban. There's a good chance people still permaban him. However, though, hot take, I think outside of his ult, he's not that scary anymore. I think there are better bans. I think Loki is scarier than Gambit. Like, when we were playing in the tournament, we were not banning Gambit. We left it open a lot of times. We just banned Loki. Loki was way scarier than Gambit. And I think a lot of people like to play Dive in this game, and if you want to enable Dive, you just ban Gambit. Or sorry, ban Loki. You know? We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that people have kind of like come around to that idea, because Gambit's fun. Like, he's the first support that's not like a turn your brain off, heal, and then pop your circle of healing. He's just overtuned, or he's been overtuned, you know? But like, his kit is there. It's there. Which is more. All right, Storm. So Storms theoretically should be a lot better, because a lot of pokes getting nerfed. However, Phoenix is still there. But if Phoenix is a permaban, I think Storm is pretty damn decent. I think Storm is pretty damn decent. I think I am surprised I haven't been seeing more Storms, to be honest with you. But the problem is, though, I think she's still going to be food for Hela. So because of that, I'm actually going to knock her down back here. I'm actually going to knock her back down. The Jeff team up is not really worth it. It's not worth it. Jeff Nato, when it first came out, was absolutely worth it. That shit was busted. But now then you just have to have a Jeff on your team, and that's not worth the trade. It's really not. I'd rather just have a good Storm that actually knows what they're doing and actually plays with the team, giving everyone the damage boost, and you just basically play Rush, especially on a lot of first point maps. But outside of that, kind of... yeah. All right, Punny. I might say something crazy. I feel like we live in a weird world now where Punisher is better than Bucky. I'm going to do both at the same time. I feel like we live in a weird world where Punisher is better than Bucky. Like, Bucky has 19 abilities to stop dive. Granted, again, I'm thinking dive potentially makes a comeback with this with the changes. But this motherfucker just pulls out his shotgun and just calls it a day. He just pulls out the shotgun and calls it a day. Like, yeah, Bucky will stop you from escaping, but he'll just shotgun you and you just die. You're just dead. So it's like, huh. Stops abilities, then everyone has to kill. Just two taps you. Bucky and B. Is it console players? I feel like I see every week like some propaganda about how Bucky is still broken and like still so OP. And it feels like Luna Snow propaganda. When people were saying Luna Snow was still broken, like a season and a half after she fell off. Is it just the console players? Because he's kind of fallen off in my games. I don't see him anywhere. That's not true. I do see him, but like he's not that scary. I'd actually argue he's probably balanced now. He's actually pretty decent. Like he's a solid pick, but not carrying the lobbies currently. I can't tell you the last time I loaded into a game where a Bucky carried. I will see a Wolf carry. I'll see a Phoenix carry. I'll see a Star-Lord carry. I'll see a Thor carry. I'll see a Groot carry. I'll see a Hela carry. I'll see a Spidey carry. I'll see a Moon Knight carry. I've seen an Elsa carry. I've seen Invis carry, Loki carry. I've not seen a Bucky carry in a very long time. So, is what it is. And last but not least, I'm just doing it. Wolf. He's terrifying. They buffed the living out of him. They buffed the absolute living shit out of Wolverine. That he is just evil. Actual evil villainry. They buffed, dude, they buffed his ult charge. It was like 3,400 points or 3,400 points to get ult. Now it's 2,800. Holy shit. Is that not insane? He's nuts. He's actually insane. He's actually insane. Next up, on to supports. Again, one more time. For potentially the dinguses who bump their head on the way in and bump their head off the door frame. This is a prediction tier list for the patch tomorrow. Now you might ask again, why are you doing a prediction tier list? Because I'm gone for the next week, because I'm going on vacation and I didn't do one for before this. So you're getting a little bit of tier list, which is already, for the current patch, and you're getting a little bit of prediction for both of them. That's why you watch the whole thing instead of skipping to the end. Adam, dude, Adam is weird because if you actually have a good Adam, he's really gross. I think he's actually really good with the new changes. His flight, dude, he's actually scary. But then you get the games with the Adams who legitimately can't do anything. Like they're just food for the rest of the squad. They're just ult charge, right? They're just a heal bot in a corner doing absolutely all. But if you do play with the good ones, to actually know how to use the flight, how to actually soul bond, how to actually jump up in the air, his movement's insane, and he does a lot. He's kind of spooky. He's actually kind of spooky. Cloak and Dagger. Okay, Cloak and Dagger is very interesting because I think Cloak and Dagger is not that good. However, upon further review, Cloak and Dagger actually has by far the longest lasting ult in the game now. It's like 13 seconds from start to finish. And the double Terra Cape buff or change actually has made her a lot more viable. That said though, Cloak and Dagger kind of gets eaten by dive. I don't know where, like there's this notion that Cloak and Dagger is good against dive. Maybe when the game came out, like she's got the self bubble, but a lot of times they waste it and they have cape. and then they get eaten alive. If Dive is good next season, I feel like Cloak and Dagger players are going to get eaten alive. However, though, she was very good this patch, or recently, because of her ult. Her ult is arguably better than Invis ult. So a lot of games you actually saw Invis Cloak. A lot of games you saw Invis Cloak. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, and I'm actually going to put her on the higher end, even though I personally kind of feel like she's going to be B after the patch. Personally. I think Dive will push her a little lower, but anyways. Support pool. Support pool, arguably the fastest building ult in the entire game. And you know what? I think he's mid. I think he's mid, and I think he's going to be even more mid with the next patch. I think he's going to be even more mid with the next patch coming up. Unless you're playing him in triple support, if Gambit is allowed to be played, and Loki would be the ban at that point, which again, we'll see. I'd rather have Invis. I'd rather have Cloak. I might even take a Luna. But he's just kind of, he's good. He's got it, but I think you need the triple for him to really shine. In double, he just doesn't have the same stopping power as some of the other guys, especially if, one, Dive ends up being more prevalent again, which is the prediction I'm kind of going with all of this. And two, also, if Gambit's allowed to play the video game, which we will see. I think even with the nerfs, by the way, the whole tier list basically revolves around this guy. I think he's still going to be insane. I think he'll still be one of the best, if not second best support in the whole game. But will they allow him to play the game? That's the difference. I think there are other characters that are worth banning. I would argue, I'm gonna skip ahead really quick. I'd argue Loki is better than Gambit. I think Gambit is actually not as good as Loki. I think Loki dominates the game harder than Gambit does. I think he kills Dive. He has his rune is so good. He does, even what did they take away? 2 shots on his ammo, I think. That was the last nerf. They took away 2 ammo. Like, Loki has the capabilities of winning games both before he uses his ult and after he uses his ult. Most supports win the game off their ult. Loki is one of the few that wins the game before and after ult. He can do either one. And I think if Dive ended up being something people wanted to play and force more, this is the ban. It's not Gambit. That's the hope. Next up, Invis. I think Invis is still going to be like one of the best supports in the game. It depends on Loki getting banned, but like, okay, I'm good with that. Actually, because I think Loki, Gambit are the best two. Not even close. Loki's better, my own personal opinion, and especially after this upcoming patch, I think he's going to be better. And then you come down here to Invis, Cloak, probably both the same tiers currently, I would say. So, yeah, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, I like that. That's fair. I love how DPS pools in D tier. Yeah, we talked about it already. You already missed it. But, yeah, probably still going to pick every game. Like, one of these guys is getting banned. I don't know which one's going to be. I'm hoping it's more Loki over Gambit. But if it is Loki over Gambit, then I think Invis is probably going to get more play. But if it ends up being Gambit getting banned, I could see Loki Cloak getting a lot of play, or just Cloak Invis. So, Jeff. I think Jeff's kind of fallen off a cliff. Am I crazy? Like, I think the best use of Jeff these days is like saving your team from Elsa ult. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sorry. Sad Jeff noises. I'm sorry. He's just kind of like falling behind the rest of the group, you know? Everyone's getting all these buffs and all these changes, and he's just kind of like slowly falling behind, you know? Luna Snow, I think Luna's just solid. I think Luna's almost always solid. However, if Dive ends up actually being strong next season, Luna's gonna get packed up. Luna gets kind of eaten by Dive, but I think people will still end up picking her regardless, depending on how this goes. But like in the rest of the list, like Gambit, Loki are definitely better. Invis, Cloak is definitely better. But like main healing, she's still like not awful. Like, it's not like you're gonna lose the game because someone picked Luna, but I've definitely gonna say I still have lost games over people picking Luna. Like, they load in the lobby and they go, yeah, I'm gonna pick Luna here. And I'm like, hey, dude, they're running like 3 dive characters. You're probably gonna get eaten alive. You might not want to play that. And they go like, well, freeze them. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. All right, have fun, dude. Have fun. Mantis. If triple support ends up being meta next season versus dive or with dive, or if dive doesn't even show up, Mantis is still extremely strong. Not much to really say there, especially in organized play. Mantis is insane. In ranked, less so. But you do need the triple. You do need the triple for Mantis. But so does Adam. Like, actually, that's not true. Adam can work in 2. No, you really do need the triple for Adam. I feel like without the triple and Adam in ranked, you kind of get cooked. In like organized play, you probably don't, but like in ranked, yeah, you kind of do. Rocket's also joining them in that A tier. I think Rocket's just like the best. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm filling. I'm gonna pick this character. You throw your rocket beacon in the corner and you hold right click. You're pretty much good to go. That said, though, if dive is super prevalent, he did get a pretty big nerf to his shift. So there's a good chance he could actually end up dropping here. However, though, I think Rocket's better into dive than Luna is, and it's not close. And I really can't put Luna any lower than this. I just don't think that's smart or right. So I got to leave him up here. But just to let you know, it's probably the low end of this. And then last but not least, Ultron. Ultron and Adam basically play this internal game of who is better than the other. And again, if next season dive ends up being more prevalent and it's less poke and it's more sustained, Ultron actually works pretty well against it. Especially you put a drone on one of your supports, whether it's the Luna or Mantis or Adam or Invis or whoever it is, and then you put one drone onto your tanks, you're going to sustain pretty damn well, especially even against dive. So I think that there's a large possibility dive comes back, and then Ultron actually ends up performing pretty decently. At least at the moment, that's not currently true. But again, all of this is just a prediction for tomorrow's patch, because again, I will not be here. So, that said though, guys, don't forget, get your bitch ass back to the beginning. No skipping to the end. Get your bitch ass back to the beginning, because this is all a prediction tier list. And so we do talk a little bit about the current meta, aka today, before the patch tomorrow, but this is a prediction. So when this goes out, it will actually probably be right after the patch comes out. It'd probably be a day or two after the patch comes out, because I have an Overwatch one that needs to go out. So you'll be able to know. You'll be able to know within a day or two. Will these predictions be correct, or will they be off? Either way, it doesn't matter to me, because I won't see you for another week. And then you know what we can do in a week from now? We can correct it then. That said, though, appreciate you. And there is your Season 6.5 prediction post-patch, post-emergency patch tier list.